The hill where I am now is one of the few hills that are in Hilversum, or the many. And part of these trees that people planted in this area, there was also a little strip of land that leads all the way to the woods. And I'll show you. 4 people took care, made sure this land would never be built on. Up to today it has never been done for like more than a century now. So among others it was Jan van Ravenswaaij who in 1831 already took the initiative to have a shady walk area here in this region. And here you can see a lady sitting on a couch and a lovely walking lane. On the map you can see I am now here. And we're going to walk all the way down, and at that side you cross into the woods. It's nice that people already then wanted to make sure that a path and a walkway would still exist and not only being built by houses. The reason I'm here is I wanted to show you some of the green arteries that are here in Hilversum. And when you are in cities, not just here in Hilversum, which is not a city but just a town, just have a look where you are in the streets, at the edge in parks, the woods around it, that some trees are tiny and thin and the other ones are huge and old. There's a reason for it. Just got on top of the hill. I left here behind me the little narrow long stretch of Jan van Ravenswaaij pad. And I even see here on the post there is a sign, it's called Monumental Green. So how nice would it be to just do a little hike and follow the signs Monumentaal Groen. This little top of the hill is looking, well, pretty bare. It was already in those days, but still different. I'll show you an old photo and then you can see why it has had the nickname Speldenkussen, which is the needle cushion. When you're sewing your clothes and put all the needles or pins in a little cushion. All the trees here had been cut in the winter of 1944. They needed wood. It was a starvation winter, the last part of the winter with the German occupation. And Hilversum had bad luck anyway because we were here, the Nazi capital of the Netherlands. Something I never knew, but now I dive into the history of Hilversum, I find it a more and more intriguing town. There would be the Speldenkussen, right? The pin needle cushion thingy with the trees, the top of the park. And I'm now heading to the woods. It is another elegant lane, and imagine the ladies in long skirts, the men with their hats, maybe walking sticks, having their Sunday walks or afternoon walks, shady. And the trees are still mostly here, the beech nuts, here and there oak tree. And on the left of me some more newer buildings. And also an old one, you see the little tower. Those were once the studios of one of the broadcast companies here in Hilversum. At the moment it houses different companies, and maybe another television company will take its seat soon. And all were old villas before, or gardens of villas. And many of them have been filled in, some of them even broken down as late as the 80s, so that's only like 30-40 years ago. So next to the path where we got out, you see here in the yellow bricks the old television studios. You can see even the clock in the old NCRV emblem, their symbol. But what nice is here, the old villa. This is Villa Henrietta, and this house has been bought or made actually by a rich merchant named after his wife Henrietta. Beautiful chalet style, end of the 19th century. And what I really like about it is my favorite window of Hilversum, the white peacock in the stained glass. And if you have seen my other movie about Staverden, the Castle of the White Peacocks, I seriously think this is becoming an item for me. So coming from the park, and on the left I have seen the Villa Henrietta with the beautiful peacock. Then now I have to cross a road and another road. And this road here is called the Schuttersweg. The Schuttersweg, schutters were the old civil guards, like the policemen. And this road was then the boundary of the village of Hilversum. If you would cross the street, and now you see the woods, then there was Heatherfield's Roughlands, and they would practice there from 1828 till early 1900s. Not anymore. things have changed, and since the 50s there's a ring road here now around Hilversum, and I have to cross here. If you think this is scary, it is though. A bit further behind me there's also a tunnel you can use for a safer crossing. And here we are, we made it into Corversbos. Peace and quiet. Also, the Corversbos had a lot to suffer during the last winter of the war, and you can see the big trees are still standing, but also here local people have been cutting wood to just put in their fireplaces to just keep a warm home. What happened then afterwards, after the war, the forestry department planted many pine trees back, which is not too common here, and slowly they let the forest do what it does. Trees will fall, trees will die, and slowly they want the deciduous trees back, and that is really nice to the character, which I love about the Corversbos. Originally it was just the backyard of many estates, maybe some hunting grounds, more park-like, and good for shady walks. I'm walking here in the Corversbos. You can see some of the pine wood still around me, and there is something nice around the corner. It is a very old beehive, or maybe not a beehive, more beehives, I don't know how you call that. And we're going to take a right turn. So not so long after crossing the road, you can see there some wooden structure. Here you find Bijenschans Corversbos, and this group of beekeepers is here about 70 years now. It is in a big deep hole almost, like probably dug out. It has wooden structures now and lots of beehives. On Saturday mornings the beekeepers have their beekeepers cafe. The active members are here. If you step by, I once did, they're very friendly and open to give you some explanation. A schans, like the name says in Bijenschans, used to be like a little loamy clay, dike around this region, around this area, to keep the bees out of the wind, and there was a hedge around it. You only can find little remainings of that. Because it's now in a depth and it has these wooden structures where the beehives are in, that's good enough, because if there's too much wind, the bees can't find home or can't get to home, and then they might just go to a neighbor hive, and that's not what you want as a beekeeper. There's plenty of shops around in the neighborhood where you can buy the local honey, and some of the bees, the bees go out and fly, but only of course in certain times of the year. Some blooms are blooming, some flowers I mean, and for the acacia tree, which is a robinia, like a European hardwood tree, that bloom is only there for 2 weeks, and still you can buy pots of honey, of acacia honey, only then collected by these bees in this 2 weeks time. Amazing creatures, and very necessary to keep the world go round, as we all know. I'm about to end the walk, and I'm now next to all the sports fields that are here for the school, which is under the road. I'm about to enter the little tunnel for pedestrians and cyclists. If you would go further into the woods, you would come across all those, actually 3 larger fields where the old buckwheat would be growing, where the Neanderthaler lived. And along the larger lanes, even the Canadian soldiers had their camps after setting us free in May 45. Lots of history. Then, if I go this way now, forward, and I'll show you, there is your way to get back to civilization. Here on my right is the beehive. In front of me, and I'll show you, is the tunnel, and bringing me safely to the other side. And also here, the post for the Monumental Green Walk. And recently I have been doing about 4 Hilversum city walks. They suddenly just take so much interest. People like to learn their local history. Please don't hesitate to call me if you'd like to walk or maybe bike around, because these fields here, the whole region, is full of history. The Nazi capital of the Netherlands, old villas, and Hilversum was a resort for the fresh air, and still happily you hear the cars, but the fresh air is right here around me. Going back, and thank you for joining. take a really beautiful hike with the Monumental Groen that will lead you along most of these lovely paths. Bye bye.